Hi, and welcome to Screens and Focus podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Diana.
And I'm Brooke.
And this is episode 77. Today we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 10, and the movie Joker, and Netflix documentary series. Before we dive in, how are you doing today, Brooke?
Doing great, thank you. I loved that the sun was out.
It's been so nice.
Yeah. I had some yard work to do because tomorrow's trash day, so I had to put all the debris in the green bin and all that hard work. But it was so nice that I was able to do that and just spend some time outside in my work clothes and just getting all dirty out there. It's fun. I like it. How was your day?
Well, with this whole coronavirus thing, I am working remotely.
Okay.
And so I am doing that. But as you said, you know, being outdoors, I was able to walk my dog on my lunch hour. So that was really nice. So
that's nice.
I think he's really happy.
I bet he is.
He's all, I get to walk in the daylight.
Oh, he's on my mommy's home.
Yeah, and he's all looking around at things because usually it's in the evening and it's, you know, he can't really see anything.
Oh, that's so cute.
So I think he was happy.
He's such a good boy.
Yeah. So we'll see how long this carries on for. So I'm just wishing us all well and good, and we can just go back to regular life and not having to fight over toilet paper.
Hello. Yeah. That's been a problem.
Yeah.
As we all know.
Yeah. So, Brooke, and you know, watching this episode and seeing everything that Beta does and appears in Alexandria, I was thinking about monsters and who is the scariest movie monster for you?
Oh, okay. Well, if I were to date back to like my first initial thought, it would be Freddy Krueger.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, like his movies came out, probably in the 90s? Early 90s, maybe?
I'm not even sure. But
late 80s, early 90s, probably like 89 or something like that. And I would say that he put fear into my mind, you know, and when I look back and, you know, like he's really scary. My kids haven't seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I think there's some remakes, but they're not on demand for the original, and so we just haven't watched them.
Yeah.
I think, you know, some of the kids in my house are a little too young for it because I think it would give them a nightmare. Like, I think it would scare them. And this song I do sing, not regularly, but I do sing it here and there. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Oh my gosh.
3, 4, better shut your door.
Oh no.
5, 6, right?
Oh, you're scaring me.
Yeah. So I would say Freddy Krueger. But I love the 80s horror personas. Michael and Jason. So who would be your?
Oh gosh, it's really hard. I have to think. So I was thinking, of course, Michael Myers and thinking Freddy Krueger because it's your dreams, right? You can't control. You want to sleep, and you know, and here he comes when you're sleeping. You're so
6, get a crucifix. 7, 8, better stay up late.
Oh my gosh!
9, 10, never sleep again.
So I'm right there with you. I was trying to, you know, scan my brain of all the monster movies I've ever seen, and I just right now that's the only thing that stays at the front now. So that's what I think. So normally I would say supernatural entities really scare me.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
But I don't know if that's the same category as, you know, monster movies.
Yeah.
So
that's why it was like a slasher type.
Right. So I'm thinking more of this type.
Yeah.
Because it would be anything supernatural because it's so scary because it's out of, you know, you just can't deal with ghosts and all of that. So I'm taking that out of the picture.
Okay.
And I'm just concentrating on slasher type movies.
All right.
And so I would agree with you with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good pick, I think. Cool. So, friends out there, let us know what you think. Who is your scariest movie monster? You know ours. You can let us know by leaving us a comment on Twitter at @in_screens or at our Screens in Focus Facebook page. You can also follow us on our Instagram and subscribe to our website and our YouTube channel. Okay, my friend Diana.
Yeah.
I want to know, what were your overall thoughts on this episode of The Walking Dead?
Oh my gosh, it was pretty scary. It was a horror episode of The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So this Halloween-inspired episode was very creepy. And Beta is so big and menacing, and he was swinging Laura and Rosita around like rag dolls.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fight with Daryl and Alpha was so scary. I don't think we have ever seen Daryl so beat up and bloody like this before. And then Alpha was on her last leg too.
Yeah.
And also, seeing walkers in Alexandria, it made me scared for our group. It is such an unsettling feeling. But even with through all that scariness, I loved it.
Yeah.
This season has been so good.
I know. And we're only, 3 episodes in, right?
I know. I don't know. But I'm just like, I don't want it to end.
You're
That's
so
all
funny.
I know.
I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know. It's so exciting. It's really good. You're
Well,
right.
because I think, we just started. But then I'm like, oh no, we only have I feel like we're just so limited, right? So even though it's barely 3, but once we get to 4, we're halfway through.
Yeah,
So,
and then they're going to be like, 3 more episodes, guys.
yeah,
I'm like, oh,
exactly.
really?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this episode a lot. And, there was so much information that has happened in this episode. And we get to see another tunnel that is managed by the Whispers. And, what is going on with Lydia? And with Alpha's vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then Judith, she's just a little ass kicker. and so much more. I just loved it.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about Daryl and Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
So I was really frightened for Daryl in this episode. He is searching for a way into the cave to rescue Connie and Magna, if they're still alive after the explosion. And as he's looking, he sees the Whispers and Alpha leading walkers out of the cave. So he ducks for cover. And I was so worried he'd get caught or the walkers would see him. But he didn't. So that was good. And then a little later, Daryl sees them by the water and starts to, kill some Whispers and slices Alpha. At first, I wasn't sure it was her. I'm like, what? What? They're that close? But then she swings back at him and cuts, his eye above his eye.
Right.
And Daryl can't see because all the blood is running down his face. Oh, that made me so scared for him because he couldn't see, who was in front of him.
Right.
But he manages to use a big branch to hold Alpha down and demands to know, where are they? But then the walkers start to surround him, and then he starts swinging even though he can't really see them. He's just swinging this branch to get them out of the way.
Yeah.
And at that point, Alpha stabs him in the leg with a big fat knife.
Huge.
Oh my God, it was so huge.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God it was just the leg. I mean, even though that's still horrible in itself,
Yeah.
but that was a huge knife.
Yeah.
So I was scared where it was going to end up.
Right.
So then Daryl, we don't see this, but he makes his way to this gas station and he's wounded and he's bleeding, and Alpha finds him. And she starts summoning the walkers by pounding on the walls and drawing them toward the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. And they go toward Daryl and he has to fight them off with a fire extinguisher. One gets on top of him and he has to pull this big fat knife out of his leg and stab the walker in the head. And then he starts spurting out his blood. And I'm like, no, Daryl, you cannot bleed out. Please don't.
I know. He was really in bad shape. I was super scared for him. I was like, oh my gosh. But then they both kind of were so exhausted and fatigued, and, just his blood trail and the handprints everywhere. And it was bad.
Yeah.
Bad news, right? Yeah. But then later, Lydia arrived and she settles some feelings with her mother, Alpha, which I wasn't sure if this was a dream or if she was really there. But I'm like, oh, wait, well, she has to be really there because she's been gone. So I was glad to see Lydia. And, she wasn't able to kill her mother, Alpha, to set her free to become the next Alpha.
Yeah.
That's what her mother would have wanted, but she just wasn't feeling it anymore, right?
Yeah.
She's no longer been a whisperer and just doesn't agree with her mother. So Lydia then leaves Alpha in the warehouse, and somehow she got Daryl out of there, and then she takes care of him. But then when he asked her about her mother, if she happened to kill her, she asked Daryl if he had the chance to kill his father, would he have? It's actually, that moment, it was nice to know that Lydia knows Daryl very well, and Daryl knows Lydia pretty well too.
Right, yeah.
And so clearly they have a good relationship. And to me, it's almost like father-daughter. Mm-hmm. And so I really admired that. I really like the support that he's been able to give to her and protection as much as he possibly knew how he could in Alexandria. So it's nice to see them kind of back. Yeah.
I love Daryl.
Yeah.
And I know I loved seeing Lydia and her telling her mother, you never gave me what I wanted.
Yeah.
I just felt very satisfying to hear that. But it's funny, you said that Lydia got Daryl out of there somehow, and I was thinking the same thing. When he woke up, I'm like, how did you get him here?
I know,
because he's a big old man. Not that he's big or anything, but he's a man.
Well, yeah, and so, if you have ever tried pulling your own body weight, like that's really hard to do. So to pull your body weight and more,
yeah. So I'm not sure how she got it.
And
out
she's
of there.
kind
Maybe
of a
she had
teenager.
a wheelbarrow. Maybe there's a wheelbarrow around.
Yeah, or like a golf cart.
Not a golf cart. Just a wheelbarrow.
I'm just kidding.
He's at a gas station. A dolly.
Yeah.
Something, right?
Something.
Yeah, she had to, right? And pull him and
all throughout
cart
the
him
woods
away.
And all this debris. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a lawnmower or something.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm being goofy. All right. Beta. Oh my gosh, Beta. Talk about slasher, right?
Oh yeah.
He's amazing. He really, really is. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a cruel, evil villain, right? Just huge and scary. Just got these huge feet and he's just stomping around. Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Right. He totally is. With his little happy smile, happy, have a nice day t-shirt that he wears. So funny. Anyway, he's super loyal to Alpha. And he takes her orders to go back and track Gamma down to bring her back alive. But when we see him enter the RV, which there are then 2 whisperers inside, and it looks like they're in charge, like they're working a toll booth or something.
Yeah.
And then watching this, I was completely surprised to see that they have an underground passage connected to an abandoned-looking RV posted in the middle of the field. I was just amazed. He is then guided down by another whisperer underground where they light the match. And it's like, oh, so this is their job. They're like working this underground transit system.
Yeah. I didn't notice the other whisperer. So that's a
well, I
revelation
hope that was
to me.
another whisperer.
It must have been. I just did. I noticed the 2 on top, but I didn't realize there was another one down.
The one who lit the match.
I don't even recall.
Yeah,
that part,
and then he had a lantern, like an oil lantern, and then
I
just didn't think that was Beta, so I assumed maybe by the way that the mask looked that it was somebody else down there.
I think I must have assumed it was him. But I was wondering the same thing about the 2 whispers, what they were doing in the RV when he walked in.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to get in trouble for lounging around.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what are they doing just sitting there?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, this is all like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening?
Right.
I didn't realize it was the gateway to their tunnel.
Gateway, perfect. Yeah, because actually I thought at first I thought they were just zombies or walkers, and then they like opened up the thing, and I'm like, oh wait, they have brains.
I thought they were going to be making meth or something. You know what I mean? It was an RV, right? And then they've said there's been Breaking Bad and The Walking Dead, little Easter eggs. So I thought,
how funny.
oh, this is tying in, but no, that's not what it was.
Oh, okay. Got it. Well, I also like the tribute to the Night of the Living Dead, and then we see Beta's hand crash through that dirt in the grave in Alexandria. Mm-hmm. And that was, I don't know. He was just on point with strategy by turning some of Alexandrians, by using them as like a deterrent so that he could find Gamma, which was so innovative. And
totally.
how in the world did they get this tunnel in the great? Like, I don't know. All that just really confused me. I want to know more about the Whisperers and what else they have under their sleeves. He was super scary when he entered that house, and then he turned off the lights when those two men were talking crap about Lydia and beating her up.
Oh, was it Lydia? I know. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was the guy that beat up Lydia. Oh. He was in the house talking to the other guy, and he was like, oh, yeah, when we got that Whisperer daughter or whatever, you know, she didn't have anything on us or something like that, which was kind of ironic that they'd be talking about her at that time. And then there's Beta.
Yeah.
It was just
I think they did say something like, oh, it's such a joke or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God.
So, and then he just massacred that household and I think another household too.
He did.
Right?
Mm-hmm. You see him walking from like out from one house and then he comes into the other house and they're all like going about their business. Right. That was like scary. Right. I mean, that was so Michael Myers in Halloween.
Yeah.
And so... because it's just going house to house slaughtering people. And even though I don't want our group hurt, this was brilliant. I wondered for a moment when he sat and waited, is he praying or summoning something? But then I realized he was waiting for them to turn into walkers to use as a weapon. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, he is scary. He is so damn scary.
He's super scary. He, you know, when he gets into the prison, he kills that former savior, who she's now in Alexandria, and her name apparently is Laura.
Yes.
He throws her around the jail, and then her head just bleeds out. I'm like, man, just smashed her. But she was brave. She jumped on his back and tried to...
Right. Fight him as best she could. But I know, it's like, how are you going to compete with somebody like this?
You have to be armed with any possible... You have to just get him in the jugular.
Yeah. Well, she had the chance.
But she didn't get him.
She didn't push forward. And I know it's because he would have died. And that's not what, you know, the story goes. But I'm like, just kill him.
Get him.
Kill him. I know. So Gamma, she arrives at the Alexandrian gates with a message that the group is, our group is trapped in the cave and that her nephew is the baby that the Whisperers left. So she is questioned by Father Gabriel and Rosita, but they don't trust her. You know, I don't blame them. And Rosita knocks her out in one punch, which I thought was very cool. So she wakes up in her cell. And they question her further because they don't believe her. They said, if you leave something out, that just means you're lying. So, they just pressed her. And she finally fesses up to killing her sister. Yeah. Which was another turning point for her.
Right.
And then later, Judith talks with Gamma through the cell window and finds out that her real name is Mary. And Judith, oh my God, I love her. She is so compassionate and I love this little girl. And if something happens to her, I'm going to be completely devastated.
She's so cute.
I just can't even, I just adore her.
I know. I love her little voice.
I know. But it's true. It's like, I don't feel like I see her as a little girl acting a part. I think she's a fantastic actress because I really believe her as Judith. I really believe her. I think she's so really
cute.
Good.
Love her.
So Mary says that she's from Santa Monica and she had parents and went to school, but says she doesn't remember much else since Alpha has a way of making you forget. And then Judith says, you met the wrong person first, which I thought was the cutest thing. If you met my mom and dad, you wouldn't be in that cell. You don't look like a monster to me.
Aww.
So revealing. She's so wise.
Yeah, she is.
So then Beta at that point finds Gamma in the cell and she tries to explain herself about how Alpha lied to her and everybody about how things really are. But he tells her that she was already dead when she met Alpha. It just reminded me of how cult-like these Whisperers are.
Yeah.
And that was just so... I don't know, his mind. I mean, he's like out there with this whole thing. Like, I haven't seen Beta break from being a Whisper. Like, we've seen Alpha when it comes to Lydia sometimes. Like, she weaves in a little out. Like, she'll do things because of Lydia. But I have never seen Beta break from who he is. Like, he's always a whisperer.
Because that's probably why he was in that insane asylum.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So he's about to take he's about to take Gamma, and that's when Laura comes in and holds that weapon that we were talking about. And, and, she tells Gamma / Mary to run and get help. And so, Gamma, are we going to call her Gamma or Mary? I'm a little confused at this point. Okay, so Mary runs out and goes, help. It was such a weak help.
Help.
I know. It was so funny. She's like, help. And I'm like, really? Really?
I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
Hello.
And so Judith's all in here. And so then she goes in there. And so then here comes Beta looking for her. And of course he goes up the stairs. And I was so scared for Judith and RJ. I'm like, oh my God, they're in there. And he walks up the stairs. And I knew right then. I knew Judith was going to shoot Beta. I just had this feeling. And I was so thrilled that she did it. And I felt that it paid a tribute to Rick and Michonne for everything that they have instilled in her and everything that they have taught her. And I just think she's incredibly brave, that little Judith.
Know.
So she's just awesome.
Protecting her baby brother.
Yes. Yes.
I know.
And so then Beta's down on the ground, right? Because she shoots him. But of course, we all know he's like Michael Myers and is probably not dead. And Judith and RJ run past him, and Gamma runs past him. And of course, who grabs Gamma, Mary's leg, but, Beta, he knocks her down. But then Rosita comes in and starts fighting him. And I thought, oh my God, you're going to get killed. I mean, he was throwing her around. And although she is tough, again, she is a small woman. And right then, when he has the upper hand, Gamma yells out and basically tells him, if you want to take me alive, then you leave her alone. So next thing we see is Beta and Gamma walking through the woods, and Father Gabriel and his crew come out with their weapons, and Gamma drops to the ground and Beta splits. And of course, again, Gamma is trying to explain herself and not doing a good job. I mean, she's totally looks guilty. And even though she's doing the right thing with helping our group, she has always looked so guilty. Like, I'm surprised they haven't killed her about 3 times already from not believing her.
Yeah. Well, she's vulnerable and she's not as whisperer as she needs to be to fit into that group. She had a revelation. Okay, so the only reason why I get that word confused all the time now is because of the movie The Good Dinosaur. They say it wrong, and then now I always think of that movie when I say the word revelation. Revelation.
Wait a minute. Now you're making me question myself.
See what I'm saying? Stop it! But I think she had realized that, once she realized that she's no longer a whisperer, it's really coming out. It's really, really coming out in her, and just meeting with Aaron, and she was the wrong spy for the whisperer group because she turned.
Yeah.
Right?
But they thought, man, she killed her sister. For the Whisperers I'm talking about, they thought she killed her sister right in front of us, so she can be trusted. Mm-hmm. But Alpha's the one that screwed up because she lied to them.
Yeah. Who's supposed to be with Judith and RJ?
I know, that's what people have been saying. I thought, I know Rosita said it's time for lockdown, so I don't know if Rosita's overseeing her, because Rosita wasn't in that. Why did we see Rosita there?
Down the stairs, yeah. I don't know.
So maybe she was out monitoring and was going to end up back there. I don't know.
That was a little confusing for me.
Yeah.
But speaking of Rosita, just 2 days after Sadiq was killed violently by Dante, we're seeing Rosita, she's having nightmares of the Whisperers and baby Coco, and that's very scary. Mm-hmm. She is so traumatized by how the Whisperers have impacted them. And she's really trying to do what is best for her and her baby and keeping baby Coco safe. Eventually, we see Rosita confide in her man, Father Gabriel, And I was wondering if she was going to carry her feelings inside or will she talk about it. I was proud of her when she told Gabriel about her fears. And she stayed in Alexandria when Gabriel and the group set out to find Daryl. Thank goodness, though, because, she was able to put up a good fight with Beta. There are no guns, and she had to fight him with a weapon.
Yeah.
That's super scary. She's tiny compared to him.
I know.
Anybody's tiny compared to him.
I know, yeah.
But
she's tiny already, so.
Yeah, that must have been so scary. I really want to see the behind the scenes of her talking about that scene.
Yeah.
I think that would be really nice to see her thoughts about her fight with Beta. And as a mother myself, I have a hard time leaving my babies while I go to work, let alone just any long period of time. But, Rosita, she ends up leaving to Hilltop, and she mends with Gamma on their way to Hilltop in that carriage to see the doctor because she's all beat up.
Right. Yeah.
And, they introduce each other to their first names, which is really cool. So that's almost like she just gave her that respect, because they battled that monster together.
Yeah.
And Gamma put her life before others.
Yeah.
So she
did. She
herself.
totally did. Yeah.
And so that was a good way of putting yourself out there and protecting not only people in front of you, but the whole community of Alexandria. And so, I feel that Rosita was given that strength to form that trust with Mary, a.k.a. Gamma. So it was good.
That was pretty good. You just had me thinking, wow, that was doing a lot by giving herself up for Rosita. She doesn't know Rosita.
Yeah.
So what made her do that?
Yeah. She probably has a lot of guilt with everything that she's carrying with her sister.
Yeah.
And realizing
makes her pretty brave. She is pretty brave.
I just a few weeks ago pushed my sister and she was eaten alive and she was just vulnerable. She was just a sad person who tried to tell me that we should leave. Her sister told Gamma, let's go. They might have food or something or whatever. She was like, they might have stuff in their walls. And then she was also sad about her baby. Right. So that was hard. But Diana, what other things did you notice in this episode?
Well, I noticed Father Gabriel's transition. Yeah. Not just during this episode. It's been coming, but it was really transparent in this episode too. He's become a leader in Alexandria and pretty ruthless. The exact opposite from when we first met him.
Yeah, totally.
It's shocking. I think he said the Whisperers, they're cowards. And if we can break her, then we can break them all. Oh my gosh, but the way he said it was crazy. I was like, oh my God, Father Gabriel.
With his eye.
Yeah. And then didn't he tell her that he spoke when she was in the cell, she says something like, ask God if I'm telling the truth or something like that. And he's all, I asked God, he told me to hang you. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, oh my goodness.
But then he also said that, he wanted to pull out teeth and cut off fingers to get answers.
I know.
From them. So yeah, he's totally different. And then Rosita later, she throws that in his face like, oh really?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Who's going off the deep end? Me or you? Yeah. You're the one that wants to pull people's teeth out.
Yeah. I also noticed the walkers. It's quite interesting. I swear the special effects is so good, the makeup and special effects. But the walkers have grass and weeds growing out of them. It's like they're chia pets, right?
It's so cool. It's like this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Our hedgehog over here, our little friend.
Yeah. So, and then, okay, so when Alpha summoned the walkers to come get Daryl. Yeah. The two of the walkers come in and they go past her, but that one, I don't know if you noticed, it turns around and it leans into her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's really checking her out. I'm like, what's it doing? What's it smelling? Is it remember way back I said, do they smell fear? Because I wonder if fear is part of like, oh, I'm going to eat you, smell like a human, your fear, because she's human and it doesn't smell her. She's wearing a mask, but that's it.
Yeah, she's bleeding.
But she doesn't have walker guts on her. So
Right.
I think there's a fear factor in here somewhere. I think that they can sense some smell. Maybe that exudes when people have fear. I don't know. And since she's not afraid, it doesn't go after her. But it really leaned into her.
Yeah.
And then it turned away and went after Daryl.
Weird.
Yeah. What do you think? What did you notice?
Oh, well, I was actually surprised that Gamma ended up having that revelation about her sister and realizing that Alpha didn't instruct her to do the bad things that she has done. It just came natural for her to think that way, and she doesn't want to live that way. I felt that she may have felt betrayed and that she tells Beta that Alpha lied to them, right? And so I just kept reflecting on that with Gamma because she's made all these changes in her life in a pretty, short amount of time as far as we can see. So to be sculpted and molded and manipulated and go through this like washing machine full of, just going on the spin cycle.
Yeah.
I just feel really, I feel for her that this might be a difficult thing for her to process. And now she's got to find a way to fit in to the new group maybe.
Yeah.
And, her mission is to find her nephew.
Right.
So I feel like that's just really interesting to see this transition in her. And her getting that second chance, possibly. We'll see when she gets to Hilltop. But, these like you said earlier, this season has been so good. Have you lost love for this show at all?
Oh, never.
No. Why do you love the show? Come on.
I love that this show paid tribute to slasher horror films like Halloween and Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
It was new and exciting, and that is what I love about The Walking Dead. Thank you, Angela Kang, for the new direction we have seen in season 9 and 10. It has been so exciting, and it's had these character arcs and battles and new locations, and I don't want it to end at all. Like, at all. Please don't end. Just keep going. Just keep going. Yeah. What about you? Why do you love this show?
I was really impressed with the amount of detail in the last episode. Sometimes shows are hard to get loads of information in one episode. And I think the writing and directing has given the ability to unravel the story, especially in a timely manner. I look forward to the new episodes, and I'm just afraid the season is going to be over before I know it. I love the preservation of the series, and it has become so interestingly entertaining.
It has.
Yeah. If you could give an award to your favorite character quote or moment, who or what would you give that award to?
You know me, I always contemplate these things. I went back and forth, and I did write something differently, and then I changed my mind because there's so many.
Yeah.
But my award goes to Lydia.
Awesome.
I love that Lydia came back and chose her side and saved Daryl.
Yeah.
A parent-child relationship is so deep and strong. And sometimes, you don't see another way. But Lydia did. She tells her mother they are human, not perfect, just human. And that is all I ever wanted. I think Alpha living and seeing that she failed is so much better than her dying at this moment. Mm-hmm. She couldn't corrupt or manipulate Lydia. And for her to wake up and realize that Lydia saved Daryl must have been painful for her, which she so richly deserves. Mm-hmm. And that Lydia left a carving that said, "Your way is not the only way." It was so perfect and so satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
So that's who I give my award to.
Cool.
Brooke, who do you give your award to? What was your favorite character moment or quote?
Oh, before I give you that answer, I do want to say that now that you went over the carving, which I almost forgot about, this episode also reminds me of the Terminator.
Oh.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. He gets shot. Boom.
Yeah.
He's down.
Yeah.
But then he gets back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Bump, 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 going through, just killing everybody.
Okay. I like that.
And then in Terminator 2, Sarah Connor carves into the table, no fate but what we make.
Oh. You're so good at remembering details from other movies.
Well, it's one of those movies I watched 100,000 times.
I've seen it a lot too, I thought, but I don't remember. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of cool that they were able to bring that into the...
Yeah.
That's cool. I like it. Okay. So back to my favorite character quote or moment. My favorite moment was when Alpha and Daryl got into that crazy fight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was just so intense, and it reminded me of other movies like The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio with that river fight, right?
Love that movie.
Yeah. I was so pumped, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like, everything that was happening with the blood in the face and the walkers you couldn't see, and then Alpha, and then, you know, pinning her down and her getting just... It was just like a back and forth battle, right? And it was just, everybody was vulnerable, right? Like, someone was going to get bit, but it didn't happen. So, that scene just brought out so much excitement, and it was terrifying. I loved it. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. But it was fun for them.
It's so funny. I love crying, and you love being terrified.
Right? I'm like, ah!
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, very good.
So, what other shows besides The Walking Dead are you watching?
Of course, I'm watching all my regular shows, but out of the new things that I'm watching, I just started watching Love is Blind on Netflix. And I think a coworker brought this up to me, and I hadn't watched it, but I was watching the Today Show, and they showed one of the couples that got married.
Wow.
And have been married for a year and a half.
Oh, my gosh.
And I loved this couple. They are an interracial couple, and they are just so stinking cute. And I'm like, I have to see the beginning of this. I want to know how they got here. I loved them.
Aww.
I just thought they were so fantastic. And I'm like, oh, I want to see this. Plus, like I said, my coworker had mentioned this before. So I started the other night, and I was binge watching, and I've been binge watching every night after my regular shows. So I've been staying up too late and not getting enough sleep. And I'm still not done. But yeah, I'm totally hooked. So, and it's interesting because they quickly, in a nutshell, they date each other in pods. They date multiple people in pods, and then they eventually find out who they really like, and then they can propose, and they do, and people accept. And once they do that, they finally see each other in real life. And when they see each other in real life, they see if the connection still stays. They go to Mexico for a little more extended time to get to know each other more in person. Then they take them to I don't think it's Atlanta, Georgia. I might be thinking that because of The Walking Dead. They take them somewhere to an actual city and town, and they live basically kind of like in these little apartments or townhouses, all in the same complex. And they get their phones back, and they can talk to their family and everything, and they see how far it goes. And I haven't gotten any further than that. So, but they'll actually, what actually happens next is the next thing will be the wedding. Because it's like, tells you how many, every time you see a new episode, it tells you how many days to the wedding, which isn't very far off. And so I haven't gotten to that part yet. But when they get to the wedding, that's when they finally decide, are they going to get married or are they not? And all I know for sure is at least this one couple gets married.
So they profile multiple couples, and each episode is different couples, same couples, or how?
Well, it kind of segues back and forth. Like in the beginning, when people were dating, they kind of would concentrate on maybe 3 of the couples, and then the next one kind of 3 of the couples. But now it kind of is intermingling, because now it's the few that have survived. Right. So I say that just up on the top of my head, maybe there's 5 couples.
Total?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, all right. I've seen the trailers for this.
So, and I like the dating shows. I watch all that reality stuff. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so I'm really hooked right now, and I'm liking it. So,
cool.
You know, that's where I'm at. But guess what, Brooke?
What?
I finally saw the Joker. Finally,
Yay!
it came. My
So
DVD
happy.
came.
Oh my gosh. Yay.
It just took forever.
I'm so happy.
So, just for people that have not seen it, this movie is about a mentally ill, impoverished stand-up comedian disregarded by society whose history of abuse causes him to become a nihilistic criminal. That's from Wikipedia, I think.
Oh, okay.
What I have to say is I want to say that Joaquin Phoenix is an incredibly talented actor and so deserving of his Oscar win.
Yeah.
His weight loss had me cringing, and I almost doubted it was real. I'm like, wait, is that really how skinny he is? Because he sometimes doesn't have a shirt on, and I'm like, oh my God. The extent he went to for this is just crazy. His portrayal was frightening to me. And I think that is why there is so much controversy. I mean, people felt it was so close to, the reality with gun violence, and they felt it glorified mental illness. But me, I appreciate movies where I get to see actors portray riveting characters. And sometimes those characters are very dark, like in this movie. So while it may not be a movie for everyone, I am so glad I watched it. It was just fascinating to watch.
Wasn't it good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really cool. Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Did your family like it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was no no. Yeah, everything was good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad. Cool.
Yeah, what have you been watching?
Well, I actually did a little bit of reflection on my genre and what I tend to watch. And I do tend to watch things like I do watch a lot of documentaries. I watch a lot of, I would say, drama, maybe some sadness, some fear, crime, violence. I watch a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I wanted to start off with, I have 3 documentaries that,
Okay, I just want to start off by saying you do watch a lot of animated movies too, and cartoons and Frozen 2 and all that. So you don't just watch all those other things. You do have an array of things. You do watch comedies and all that other stuff too.
But in this case, these documentaries, I'm going to start off with one that's not as grim. So on Netflix, there are so many good documentary series, and one of them that I watched is called Cheer, and that's on Netflix. These are all on Netflix, so I won't have to
I did start to watch that one.
That was I loved it.
I only watched a little bit of it, though.
Oh, okay.
Like the first episode, maybe the second one. I don't know.
We started watching it as a family on like Sunday morning, and we probably watched like 2 or 3 that day. And then after a couple weekends, because like we were just doing it Sunday mornings, and then it just became Gemma and I, our little show that we would watch. So she was homesick this week, so we finished it this week, and we got to see them at Daytona. So basically, it's college or community college level cheerleading.
Yeah.
And it's not just like rah rah shish kamba. It's like there's stunts, meaning like there's gymnastics and flips and backflips and front flips and, throwing these people up in the air and holding them. And you're like having to pause it and do slow-mo. Like, how did they get up there with their bodies like that? And people hold them. And how do you know when to catch them if they fall? Or sometimes they fall and there's nobody there and then they get injured. There's tons of injuries. So there's medical on staff during practices at all times. And so you just get to see them work their way up to their competition. And that's basically the top level of cheerleading. That's as far as it really goes. There's not like another level after that. There should be in the Olympics, I think, that they should just keep going. Like, it's amazing what these people are able to do, and these young people, and they interview these young people and they talk about their lives and what cheer has done for them. It's just beautiful how it's been able to impact their life in hopefully a positive way and get them on the right track. They're very young, and so I think it's definitely a group, an organization that is useful socially for people and the public as well, because there's some, like, I would say, celebrity cheerleaders out there that people follow and are inspired by. So I recommend that.
A lot of people like that show.
Oh, good.
So,
I'm glad to hear that. I really am glad to hear that. There's a couple other series that I've watched that are heartbreaking. The one that is extremely sad, it's called The Trials of Gabriel Fernandes. I don't know how this came up on my, what I would tend to watch, maybe for whatever reason, but I ended up watching it. I second guessed it at first. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this, but I did. And it was an amazing story to tell. I think everybody should know at least about what happened with this poor boy. And Gabriel Fernandes, he was born and raised in Southern California, and he was actually killed or tortured and killed by his mom and her boyfriend at 8 years old. And she didn't have custody of him his whole life. She only had him for 8 months. Yeah. And so the abuse that this poor baby went through, and how the system,
failed him.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, it definitely did, because there's levels that and protocol, and you think, what would I do if I were in a social love, like, with the public and community and helping people keep them safe. And you would hope that you would do everything you could, everything to get this person safe, everything. But there's a lot of people in need, and it's very, very hard. It's a very touchy subject. Mm-hmm. All I can say is, in order to understand somewhat of the system, this is a good documentary to see. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's hard to watch. You will cry. Yeah. You will. I didn't cry watching it. I cried after, when it's like the episode ended, and then I talked to my kids about it, and, they hold me because I'm like, they see me upset and sad for this baby, because I love people, right? Humans. Yeah. Like, it's like, none of this made sense as to why this happened, but you have so much compassion for people, and watching this, it's just going to change you. Another show that I watched is called I Am a Killer, and this one is multiple episodes of different people's stories, of their stories of the crimes of murder that they've committed. One girl, confessed that her boyfriend he had asked her to kill him, so she did. Another one was, my husband beat and assaulted me in front of his friends, so I snapped, I killed. So they just interview these people, these murderers, and they're on they're in life in prison, or maybe they're on death row, and you just hear their side of the story, and then you hear the side of the
victim,
the law enforcement. The head detective of the case, and then you do hear from either the family of the murderer or the family of the victims. Sometimes they don't want to talk just because it's exploiting their business. Mm-hmm. But that was really interesting to see, like, what goes on in a killer's mind, like firsthand. Like, and let's just say this crime was 5-10 years ago or 20 years ago, and so so you hear their interviews then, and then you hear their interviews now, and they are different. These people have changed. It's bizarre. Mm-hmm. So I recommend that. It's so interesting. It's kind of crazy. And then the one that I'm watching now, I have the last episode tonight. It's called Pandemic, which you talked about earlier with the virus that is spreading in 2020. And so this is kind of coincidental. I'm not sure how they were able to produce this in the timely manner that it is, where we released this series at the same time as a pandemic in 2020. It's just that it's really educational, and it's not scary at all. Well, I don't find it scary because it's all on science. Like this whole program is based on the science and how these things travel, you know, from, let's just say, from the top of the world to the bottom. Like you can spread a disease from the bottom to the top. And that's just how it works. We have birds that fly. So stuff is airborne. That's how it becomes. So it's really fascinating to see these people working so hard. That's their everyday job, to discover and find, you know, how to contain, how come up with these vaccines. It's just crazy. It blows my mind. I wish I loved science when I was a kid, because I probably would, you know,
become a scientist.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's cool. What I've been doing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, a lot of good documentary series on Netflix. It's crazy.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all those recommendations.
Yeah.
That's quite a few.
Yeah.
So people should get out there and either watch the movies or watch Netflix.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So much to watch.
Yep.
So that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful you tuned in, and we hope something we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Please subscribe to our podcast and tell a friend. We would love more members of our TV club. If you could do us a big favor and rate and review the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher or wherever you get your podcasts, we really need your feedback.
Yes, and we will be uploading a new episode Tuesday, March 31st, and our next show will be on The Walking Dead, Season 10, Episode 12 and 13. You could find our website listed in our show notes. We'll see you next time. Bye!